Hey, this is Jamie from Capsule Computers, and today we are reviewing Overkill's The Walking Dead. This title from Overkill and Starbreeze is available now for PC and will be out on consoles in 2019. At the time of the recording of this video, the game costs $59.99 US. Overkill's The Walking Dead comes from Payday veterans Overkill. Part of The Walking Dead's canon, the players head out to Washington, D.C., where a group of survivors are eking out a living. Up to 4 players will work together to scavenge supplies, fight the undead, and deal with ruthless human enemies. Players play Maya, Grant, Heather, and Aiden, 4 members of the Anderson camp. The game's first season kicks off with the camp's not-so-friendly neighbors attempting to extort protection money from the camp. The family are not the last of the Andersons' camp's troubles, as greater threats loom in the distance. The multiplayer nature of Overkill's The Walking Dead doesn't leave much room for a deep story, but the game still manages to be a decent tale. The story maintains a dark feeling throughout. The characters are chatty, and there aren't that many lines for specific situations. As a result, you will hear the same few lines in a level. While the game has a lot of lore collectibles scattered around the levels, I am disappointed to see there is no theater mode to rewatch cutscenes. I found myself missing out on cutscenes due to the need to hop into games quickly and the common black screen glitch that prevents cutscenes from playing. Overkill's The Walking Dead builds on Payday 2's basic 4-player co-op gameplay and layers on game mechanics specifically designed for the zombie apocalypse. The Walking Dead has the potential to be a serviceable co-op shooter someday like Payday 2, however the game's current condition is far from ready. The gun balance on its own is just passable, but the character's skill system makes it worse. Each character has skill bonuses for a type of melee, secondary, and primary weapon, however those types of weapons are not always the best tool for the job. For example, camp defense missions against gun-toting humans makes crossbow and bolt-action rifles utterly useless, putting Grant and Heather at a disadvantage compared to Maya and Aiden. Each character levels individually, although they all share the same core skill tree. Spent points do not carry over. While initially it felt unfair, I soon noticed that the XP rate is quite generous. I found the camp supplies to increase camp buildings was actually the bigger bottleneck. The level design is disappointing. Several maps are used repeatedly with minor adjustments and different enemies. While there are a lot of missions, the overall number of actual levels is quite low. The defense missions involving human enemies are an exercise in frustration, especially the 2 set in the Anderson camp. I like the idea of random variation in map objectives and wish there was more of it in-game. Many maps will have 2 or 3 variations of a single major objective, but most boil down to the same: collect some items and jam it into the right slot to proceed. The game's difficulty level is frustrating. The zombie mechanics make playing with random players tough. Ammunition is a bit limited, and the zombie spawn rate increases as more noise is made. Some noise is controllable by using melee weapons and suppressors, while some aren't, such as human enemies firing their weapons. Noise level is a permanent increase for the rest of the level, and suppressors break after a certain number of shots, so zombie spawns can easily snowball into a horde if a player with poor aim decides to fire at everything that moves. I'm not a fan of how headshot difficulties for living enemies increases as the game progresses. Later levels are swarmed with helmeted enemies that make one-shot kills to the head very difficult for weapons completely reliant on those types of kills. Noise management and suppressors could use a bit of an overhaul. Suppressors are incredibly valuable, so I would have liked some better control over their use. If a gun is modded with a suppressor, the player will only get one for the entire level. If it is not possible to craft or find replacements within the level, I would have preferred the option to temporarily remove the suppressor. There is no point in wasting valuable suppressor life when engaging in an all-out gun battle against human enemies. The camp is a decent distraction between maps, but needs to be organized better. The more common activities are available within the menus. The survivor missions are a good way to spend a little extra resource to top up the ones you may be short on. The ability to stack high-level survivors and buildings for a reasonably helpful in-game bonus is a plus. The major annoyance is the in-game camp map. In general, the map is pointless considering the services it offers. The shop, bank, and quest manager could all be moved into the game's menus. I would have preferred a shooting range in the camp to help players get a better feel for new weapons and learn how to aim the crossbow instead of learning on the job. The game is buggy and needs a good bit of optimization. NPCs trying to follow players have problems pathing down jumpable objects, and climbing over anything above knee height is almost impossible. This makes the Rescue Reyna mission a huge pain. Hitboxes on stairs feels off compared to flat ground. I've seen other players suddenly float a meter into the air for no real reason. Cutscenes randomly do not play between levels. Loading into levels take forever, which is tolerable if the game was fully loaded by the time players spawn into the world. Instead, I found myself being thrown into the world with severe lag and texture popping for the first 30 seconds while the game finished loading. Things lock up again every time a new player loads into the map in the middle of a match. Considering this game is so melee heavy, these lag spikes are a death sentence. Things have improved a little since release, but the game is still far from perfect. Overkill's The Walking Dead looks very dated. The player character models and textures are low resolution. There's a shortage of NPC textures as the zombie hordes generally look the same, and armored tanks share the same zombie-style innards texture on their backs, no matter if they are alive or the living dead. The environment looks a little more modern, but several levels are lightly modified variants of each other. The firearm animations are decent, but the hand and melee animations look unnatural. The audio experience is decent. The music works well for the game, the sound effects are good, voice acting on the other hand is a mixed bag. Main characters tend to be higher quality, but still fall short of a proper AAA performance. The minor characters tend to lack both quality and quantity. Overkill's The Walking Dead is an exercise in frustration. The game has a lot of potential, but it is bogged down by a few poor game design choices, bugs, lack of content, and a dated presentation. It feels like The Walking Dead would have benefited from more development time. If Overkill is willing to continue development and support The Walking Dead over the next year or two, they may be able to turn things around, but in its current state, it's hard to recommend Overkill's The Walking Dead. I'm awarding the game 5.5 capsules out of 10. If you want to read this review, be sure to check out the link in the description or the video's card. I hope to see you soon. This is Jamie from Capsule Computers signing off. Hey YouTube, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it and subscribe to Capsule Computers for more awesome videos. If you're looking for more videos to watch, check out our review of For Honor Marching Fire here on the left. For another co-op game, check out our review of Warhammer Vermintide 2 here on the right.